welcome to Geki's review. Today I'm gonna review Terra Mystica by Ostertag and Trögemüller. It's a game came out in late 2012. It's published in the US in 2013 by Zeman Games. It's a Euro game that has been defined as very thematic, in which you're expanding your race over the land and trying to get the most possible victory points. And you do that with a mixture of resource management, geographical expansion on the board, and a myriad of special abilities. So let's start to have a look of what the game is about, and we'll come back and discuss it. Terra Mystica is a game about expanding your civilization, your race, into the land. Basically what you're trying to do is bringing the majority of your little buildings that you can see here on one player's personal board onto the board. You will start with just a couple of settlements, these little ones, and later on during the game you will try to build new settlements, expand them into trading posts and temples and the cathedral and the fortress. And as you may guess, little settlements cost less, and then the higher you go, the more expensive they are. And they are chains, so before you can build a fortress, you have to build a trading post that is now then swapped with the fortress or with the temple, and then the temple can be swapped with the cathedral. And they will be developing on the board. You do this by spending cubes, workers, and coins, money. The first interesting difference with other games in the same vein is that you can only build on the terrain your race likes. And so, for example, if I am at this settlement on the red thing and I want to build on this next one, which is a forest, I have to check on my board, see that the forest is 2 spots distant from red, so I have to shovel twice. And then I will be able to transmute this into a desert or clay land or whatever it is and build on top of it. I will not go into the details of the rules, but this is basically what you're doing, gaining the resources that you need to expand, swapping out things for better things that allow you to have additional income. I don't know if you can see it, but on this board, every time you take something off, thus placing it on the board, you are gaining more income. This gives you a worker every turn. This gives you money and power. I will get to that in a moment. These people give you priests, etc. You do this by spending cubes, or you can use power to take special actions. And power is a very clever mechanism. You will start with the power tokens in each of the 3 zones on your magic chart. And during the game, certain effects, usually connected to other people building buildings adjacent to yours, will allow you to move power from region 1 to region 2, and then from region 2 to region 3. Power which is in region 3 is ready to be used and brought back to region 1. And this allows you to do many different things, from shoveling, things that you can do with workers, to get workers, money, priests, and basically allows you to have flexibility. You're not required to use and generate power, but it's useful. This is how the game goes, and there are a bunch of stuff. When you build enough big buildings, one close to the other, you will build a city and gain some kind of bonuses, usually points and some reward. Or when you build a temple or a cathedral, you get the religious bonus that can be move up on a track temple. I will go to that in a moment, to get points for your settlements, to additional income, and so forth and so on. And all good and fine, the scoring is a little strange. Basically, every turn gives you a different condition to score points. One turn you will want to place this stuff on the board. One turn you will want to build the big buildings that you can only build twice, once a cathedral, once a fortress. Another turn you will just want to shovel as much as possible. At the end of the game, you will also gain points based on who has the biggest connected settlement, biggest city, and whoever leads on each of these temple tracks will also gain points accordingly. Majority in each temple is 8 points, second place is 4 points, and the third player per each temple gets 2 points. You go up on this basically by spending priests, but once again I don't want to go into the detail of the game. As I said, victory points condition are different every turn. You know them from the very beginning. You play 6 turns. This is how one scoring tile looks like. This tells you every time you gain a key, that means completing a settlement of a certain dimension, you get 5 points. Plus they tell you in the next turn what the bonus will be for being in certain position on certain temples. You keep doing this, you gain the points that you can do. At the end of the game, you do the final scoring, and whoever has the most points wins. So now that you have a general idea of how the game works, we can try to get into what is cool and what is possible not cool about this game. First of all, you should know that it's immensely popular. It is in the top 10 on Board Game Geek. A bunch of people have an absolutely sublime opinion on this game. So even if, as you will see in a moment, I don't like everything about the game, be aware that there are people who do, and certainly if you have the chance, try it out and see why people like it so much. To summarize my opinion on the game, I like the parts, but I don't like the ensemble. Or I don't like the ensemble that much. There are many things that are very cool in the game. The idea of your race that can only build on one terrain and thus has to expand and transform the land into their own terrain to be able to build is very nice. The fact that you do this by spending resources, but there are things that you can do to make it cheaper. At the beginning of the game you have to use 3 cubes, which are a lot, every time you want to do this. At the end of the game you will be able to do it with 1 if you have taken the right upgrades on your race chart. The upgrading buildings are very nice compared to a game like Settlers of Catan, in which it was very simple. A settlement gives you 1 thing per spot, a city gives you 2. Here they work very, very differently. The cost is increasing and the rewards are increasing. Settlements give you cubes if they are on the board. Trading posts give you money and power. The fortress gives you a unique ability which is different for each player. And temples and cathedrals give you an income of priests that you can use to go up on the temple track. And as I said, they give you special, unique religion bonuses. The scoring at the end, you have different majorities. You have to keep an eye on the majority on the temple tracks and the majority of expandable terrain. Basically, whoever has the longest connected city wins. And you have to use sailing boats to be able to connect on 2 different sides of a river, and that's also very cool. Plus the power, I already mentioned it earlier when I was describing the race thing, but this thing which you have to move power up and then use it for a multitude of effects is very, very nice. So what is that I don't like? everything, all this variety is finalized to repeat the same action over and over. Build a new settlement, upgrade it, upgrade it. Put them together, build a city, get the city bonus. Build another settlement, upgrade it in another place, connect them. You do the same thing over and over. The game is not short by any definition, and so it can get a little boring. It's weird. It's a game that I don't look forward to play, despite the fact that a lot of my friends love it. But when I do play it, it's actually good. Only it runs a little too long. But the thing that really buggers me about this is that beside the final scoring and some scoring that you can get, like the bonuses for the cities, the other scorings appear to be randomly enforced upon the players. Because as I mentioned, you will have these scoring tiles that will dictate the condition for each turn. So build houses, build trading posts, build big buildings, have buildings, etc., etc. And this annoys me because you can, if you want points, you have basically to force your strategy into what's there. If you want the points for the fortress and the points for the fortress come out in the third turn, you have basically to decide whether you want the fortress early for the bonus or wait and get the bonus points when you build it. And while this sounds cool, like a cool decision, it's usually not. If your strategy works with these, you will go ahead, otherwise you will have to change it. And since the races are not all the same, you cannot decide to ignore your race to get the points, so sometimes for certain races it's far better than for others. I don't believe the game is unbalanced from what I've seen. Of course, I have not played 50 games like other people out there. And so, to go back to something very cool, the races and the variable powers are amazing. They are not super thematic, although some people will go out of their way to justify the powers when they are explaining them, but they are really, really, really interesting. The game comes with 7 races, and they are all double-sided, so it's basically 14 different powers that you can have, and everything is different about them. The only thing that stays really the same is the power, and for most of them the way the digging works, but not for all of them. But what is really nice is that everything else is different. The cost of stuff changes from tile to tile. Let's see if I can find 2 that have different costs. Yes, see here, for these guys, buildings is far cheaper than for these guys. But also the unique bonus that every race can get when they build a fortress is different. These guys get an upgrade to a trading post for free every turn, while these ones can move up their sailing capability for 1 turn. These people can take a double action, so they are faster, while these ones have a big help in digging. These others have no special ability in general, but they have a super cool ability. Every turn they can go up on 2 temple tracks, and so forth and so on. And the game is hugely different based on what race you're playing, and this is really, really, really cool. And if only the point system was more organic, I would probably like this one a lot more. Finally, the components. I have no issues with meeples, they are nice. The little houses are as far as they get. The trading posts are nice. What really buggers me are these 3 things. It looks like they had leftover geometrical shapes that they didn't know how to use. They went, I don't know, maybe they under budgeted, and they found out that they didn't have money to shape them any different. But if they had made it smaller and more nice, it would have been so better. And believe me, when you see them on the board, they stand out. Everything else is so refined, and having these big cubes on the board really annoys me to the bone. But beside what I can say to friends to mock them, the game is good. It's a good game. I'm not sure it's my kind of game. I know that a lot of people play it trying not to be cutthroat. It's something that I have read online and that I have seen in people playing with me. But I really do believe that the spatial element gets to its best when you're trying to block other people off. And maybe some people will consider me crazy and say, oh, how can you even think of not playing cutthroat? But believe me, I've met multiple people that told me that, no, I never try to block them because that's not the spirit of the game, that's not what the game is about. Well, I think that improves the game from a decent game to a very good game, although the flaws that I mentioned preventing, for me, from being an exceptional game. So, should you get this? First of all, try it. It's a big game, it's a long game, it's an expensive game. You don't want to buy sight unseen. This said, if you like Euros that in my opinion are not overly complex, yes, they have a lot of bits and things going on, but doing good in this game is not that hard. And you won't get smashed unless you are generally in difficulty with Euro games. And which is very cool as far as variability and replayability and different powers and asymmetric starting positions, etc. It's certainly to try. You will probably like it. Don't be scared by the length because it's a good game. On the other hand, I don't believe it is amongst the best games ever. I think it's a game that deserves a couple of plays to really get the gist of it. After that, you will be able to decide whether it stays in your collection or it doesn't. I hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know what you think, and bye.